rate, with the waiting list being over 8,000, if we continue to move at this rate, it would be over 100 years before we could just take care of the current waiting list, and it's growing. So we want to try to strategize with you and see what we can do to truly make an impact on this waiting list and get more people into services. Now, we ask first that you would support the governor's recommendation, as he has recommended 100 new now waivers. But what we're also asking you to do is, how can we get some more waivers, some additional waivers, to really put a substantial impact and dent in the waiting list? So a strategy that we're asking you to consider, and that we have had discussions with the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. We believe that, well, currently the state of Georgia spends over $23 million in state funding for developmental disability services that are comparable to waiver services. So, for example, there's people receiving supported employment in the community, or community living service in the community, that are not on a Medicaid waiver, but they're receiving state dollars. Those state dollars are not matched by the federal match for Medicaid dollars. So what we're proposing that you consider is that you direct the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities to convert 20%, or $4.75 million in unmatched state funds, and convert those funds to Medicaid waivers, so that we can essentially bring down additional federal funding, that additional federal funding that could be used to a great extent to bring more people into services. So based on some calculations that I've done and I've shared with you all, is that if you convert $4.75 million of unmatched state funds to Medicaid waivers, that would bring down approximately an additional $10 million in federal funding that could be used to cover up to 1,000 additional waivers. Now, I do want to be very clear here. We do not want anyone who is currently receiving services to lose services. That is a huge concern of ours, and we want to ensure that that does not occur. We would like to target individuals who are on the waiting list, but who are also receiving those state comparable waiver-like services, and convert those individuals to a Medicaid waiver. So essentially, they just move over from the state-funded services to the Medicaid waiver services. I just want to be very clear that that is who we want to target, because we do not want any consequences to individuals to lose services. But we know that we have to be creative and try to find a way to put a dent in the waiting list. So with that, we ask for your support of the governor's 100 new now waivers, and we ask that you put language in the budget that would allow DBHDD to convert those unmatched state dollars to Medicaid waiver dollars, to get people off the now and comp waiting list and into services. And with that, I would be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
The committee members. Chairman Dent.
Thank you for coming today. The now waive comp, the now comp waive, what do those cost each?
Right. So again, this data was provided by OPB, and the average cost of a comp waiver in state dollars is $27,805. That's the state dollars, with a federal match of $1,486.78 for a total cost for a comp waiver of $85,291.96. For a now waiver, well, and let me back up. So the now and comp waivers are the same, except that the comp waiver is in fact more comprehensive and has a residential component. Okay, so the now waiver is in state dollars $9,780 in state dollars with a federal match of $20,220 for a total of $30,000 for the now waiver.
So, would we be better off going for the now waivers instead of the comp waivers?
I would recommend a combination of those, because if we only do the now waiver, there are those on the waiting list who are in need of residential services, and the